Imagine, if you will, that you're stepping into the final, most dangerous level of a ruined, cursed palace.
It's the ultimate pressure cooker scenario.
Exactly. Every single door you pass hides a lethal puzzle, a hidden trap, or some terrifying monster.
Your resources are totally drained at this point.
Right? Your torch is flickering, and the fate of an entire kingdom rests squarely on your shoulders. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are thrilled you're joining us.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to getting into this one. It's an absolute classic that's tested the mettle of, well, countless adventurers looking to make a name for themselves.
Today, we're diving deep into a truly legendary piece of source material. We're talking about the classic Dungeons & Dragons adventure module, B3, Palace of the Silver Princess.
But we aren't looking at the whole sprawling dungeon today, are we?
No, we're not. Our mission is to focus specifically on Part 4, the second dungeon level. Basically, we're covering encounters 64 through 76.
The grand climax.
The grand climax, yeah. We're going to unpack this final sequence of rooms to figure out exactly how this module brilliantly balances combat, rich lore, riddles, and some truly devious psychological tricks to create an unforgettable finale.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're entering the end game here.
We really are.
And what we'll see as we analyze this sequence is an absolute masterclass in escalating tension and pacing.
For sure.
The designers didn't just, throw a bunch of random monsters into a hallway. They crafted a highly intentional gauntlet. It tests the player's caution, their problem-solving skills, and honestly, their psychological endurance.
Well, and the setup for this climax actually begins before you even see a single monster.
Right, Encounter 64.
Yeah. You walk down a stone corridor, it seems completely empty, but there's a hidden pressure plate right under an archway. Tell us about this, because it doesn't just drop a boulder on your head like you might normally expect.
No, it's far more insidious than a falling rock. Stepping on that plate acts as a silent alarm.
Oh,
Yeah, it literally rings a bell in the very next room to warn the monster waiting there that dinner has arrived.
that is rough.
Right out of the gate, this teaches a valuable lesson about the environment. Cautious dungeon delving is rewarded, and reckless rushing is punished.
Because if you just blunder through that archway,
You surrender the element of surprise. And in an environment like this, surprise is often the only thing keeping you alive.
and you definitely do not want to surrender that advantage to the thing waiting in the next room, which is the Great Hall.
No, you do not.
Let me paint this picture for you. You follow the sound of that bell into a massive dining room, paneled with rough wood.
Has a very specific look.
Yeah, there are large wooden bracing beams running from the floor to the ceiling, with cross beams supporting the roof to give it this rugged, almost hunting lodge vibe.
With a U-shaped table in the middle.
Right, stuffed animal heads on the walls. Now, if you walk in and only look straight ahead, what happens?
You're likely not making it back out. Because hanging from those ceiling crossbeams is a creature known as a Decapus. And what's fascinating here is how the monster's biology perfectly synergizes with the architecture of the room.
Oh, I love that.
The Decapus is typically a forest creature that swings through the canopy, but here it uses those decorative ceiling beams as its own personal jungle.
The source material describes it as this bloated, hairy globe. It's got green skin covered in brown hair, and right in the center of its 4-foot-wide body is a massive mouth full of long yellow teeth.
Very picturesque.
Truly. And of course, it has 10-foot-long tentacles covered in suckers that it uses to climb walls and grasp prey.
Hence the name.
Hence the name, yeah. So how does a party even survive something dropping on them from the ceiling with 10 tentacles?
That's where the environmental storytelling really shines. Up on the ceiling, the Decapus is an absolute nightmare.
I mean, 10 attacks at once?
Well, it uses one tentacle to anchor itself to the beams and attacks with the other 9 simultaneously.
Still a nightmare.
Yeah, that flurry of attacks is overwhelming for almost any group to withstand. But the module provides a conceptual twist.
Okay.
The key isn't to stand toe-to-toe and trade blows. The key is to figure out how to force it down to the ground. Once it's on the floor, it becomes virtually helpless.
Because its tentacles aren't strong enough to hold its heavy, bloated body upright without the beams to hang from?
Precisely. Its movement speed drops from an incredibly fast, terrifying swing through the rafters down to a pathetic crawl.
Just dragging itself.
Just dragging itself along the floor. Its offensive capability is essentially cut in half.
Wow.
So this encounter teaches you to always look up, which is a classic survival rule.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it encourages environmental problem solving.
Right. It tells the players to look for a way to turn the room's gravity or the monster's own biology against it.
Exactly.
Now, assuming you kill this thing off the ceiling and survive, there's a crucial lore drop waiting for you on the mantle in this great hall. Yes, a book that some raiding orcs took from the palace library. And this book explains how the evil entity behind all this misery, Eric of the Hundred Eyes, breaks into dimensions.
It's vital information.
Very. But more importantly, it details the actual methods needed to destroy the Eye of Eric. Why put this instruction manual here right after a brutal fight?
Think of it as a vital failsafe built into the module by the designers. By the time you reach this deep into the dungeon, you are exhausted.
Yeah, you've been through a lot.
You might have missed a few clues in earlier rooms. Placing this book here ensures that players understand their ultimate goal and the stakes involved right before the final push.
It grounds the abstract action into a concrete narrative objective.
It does. It focuses them.
So leaving the Great Hall, we get what feels like a tiny breather in the washroom. It's Encounter 66.
Oh, yes.
It's just a place where hunters cleaned up, basins, soap, clean towels. It's almost eerily quiet.
But that quiet doesn't last, does it?
Not at all.
That quiet space is a deliberate palate cleanser to amplify the shock of the next room. You've moved from the silent, deadly ambush of the Decapus through a completely serene washroom straight into the lounge.
Which is pure, unadulterated chaos.
It really is.
I love the lounge encounter. You open the door, and there's a 9-foot-tall ogre wearing animal skins having a massive temper tantrum.
Just wrecking the place.
Literally just destroying the ornate furniture for the fun of it, all while carrying a leather sack clinking with 300 heavy gold pieces.
It keeps you completely off balance regarding the types of threats you might face. You go from calculating predators to a creature defined entirely by loud, brute force destruction.
Right. And then, moving deeper into the complex, the atmosphere shifts yet again. Leaving the splintered furniture of the lounge behind, you approach a door that feels, well, different.
Encounter 68, the summoning room.
Yes. You open it and step into the summoning room. You see a man standing inside a blood-red circle painted on the floor, surrounded by strange symbols. He has long black hair, wears flowing red robes, and there is a red eye painted right in the center of his forehead.
Very dramatic.
Extremely. He is in the middle of chanting in an unknown language. Who are we looking at here?
This is Catharandamus, an evil cleric devoted to Eric.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
I'd rather not. But he is currently attempting to open a dimensional gate. The visual of this room is incredibly striking.
Yeah.
It signals immediately that you have stumbled into something of apocalyptic importance. This isn't just another wandering monster. This is the architect of the ritual.
And in front of him, resting on a plush black velvet cushion, is a strange-looking weapon made entirely of ruby, the Sword of Eric.
Yes.
As he chants, the sword actually pulses with crimson light. Now, from what I read, Catharandamus is not an easy fight on his own. He's wearing heavy plate armor hidden under those red robes. Very. He wields a heavily enchanted mace, and he commands magic that can blind the entire room in unnatural darkness or send characters fleeing in absolute terror.
He is a formidable opponent, certainly. But the true genius of this encounter design isn't just his magical arsenal. It's the chain reaction his presence can trigger.
Oh, the tactical nightmare. Because there's an inner door in this room.
Right.
If Catharandamus sees you, his first move isn't necessarily to attack. He's going to yell, "Help!"
And if he does, a voice from behind that inner door shouts back, "Hang on, we're coming."
That inner door leads to a bedroom that currently houses Catharandamus's bodyguards. Within moments, a squad of 7 large, heavily armed orcs bursts into the room.
But there's a leader with them.
There is, and she is the real wild card of this scenario. The leader of these orcs is named Alha. She also wears a red robe with an eye painted on her forehead. When you first see her, she looks perfectly human.
But she is actually a werewolf.
Yep.
And she will transform mid-combat to tear into the party.
The stakes with Alha the werewolf are incredibly high. The source material notes that any character severely wounded by her bite taking substantial damage runs a very high risk of contracting lycanthropy.
It's not an immediate death, but a lingering, terrifying consequence. A werewolf bite can inflict lycanthropy in 2 to 24 days.
It's a ticking clock.
Exactly. Contracting lycanthropy changes a character's future permanently. It adds that ticking clock to the campaign narrative. Unless they can find a rare cure, or, as the module hints, if destroying the Eye of Eric lifts the curse entirely, that character is doomed to become a monster themselves.
Wow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this entire sequence teaches players about threat escalation and crowd control.
Right, because the summoning room and the bedroom aren't isolated bubbles.
No, where monsters just sit in stasis waiting to be killed. They simulate a living, breathing enemy complex where forces communicate, reinforce each other, and inflict lasting consequences.
It forces players to make hard choices about risk versus reward. And speaking of that, let's say you manage to survive the evil cleric, the orcs, and the werewolf.
A big if.
A very big if. But you find their treasure room, there's a wooden chest holding their loot, but the lock on this chest is shaped like a screaming face.
Encounter 70.
What is the trap here?
It is remarkably diabolical.
Yeah.
If you try to open the chest without pushing both of the face's eyes in at the exact same time, a hidden mechanism triggers, and a poison needle shoots directly out of the face's mouth.
Brew.
If that needle pricks you, you are infused with a lethal toxin. In game terms, you have to save versus poison, or you die in 2 rounds.
No slow drain of health, just dead.
Just dead. It's a mechanic designed to reinforce that the environment is just as hostile as the monsters.
Yeah.
You've just survived a grueling multi-stage battle. Your adrenaline is pumping. You feel victorious. You go to carelessly claim your prize.
And the chest takes you out.
Exactly. It demands constant vigilance from the players.
But if you are vigilant and you bypass the needle, the payoff is sweet. 650 gold pieces, 1,000 silver, and a pouch of rare fire agates.
A nice haul.
Definitely. Now, laden with loot, you move further down the hall into a sitting room. It's got some chairs, a rolled-up rug, a knitting basket. Over the fireplace is a portrait of Princess Argenta holding an apple-sized blood-red ruby.
The Eye of Eric.
That's the one. But the focal point in this room is a small magical teacup resting on a saucer on a table.
Encounter 71.
If you touch this teacup, it speaks to you. It recites a riddle. Let me read it exactly as it appears in the source material.
Go for it.
The teacup says, 3 crystal notes, 2 silver drakes, 1 ruby sword. All will smash the demon's eye and lift the curse from Haven. What are we supposed to do with this?
This poem is the linchpin for the entire climax of the adventure. It isn't just flavor text to set a spooky mood. It's the literal instruction manual for the final boss encounter.
Okay.
Every single line refers to something the players could have found earlier in the dungeon. 3 crystal notes references a magical ice harp hidden in a completely different wing of the palace.
Room 32, I believe.
Correct. 2 silver drakes refers to tiny silver dragon statuettes scattered across 3 separate rooms.
Right.
And 1 ruby sword refers to the Sword of Eric, which Catharendimus was just using in the summoning ritual we discussed.
It completely rewards the players who have been thorough, who took notes, and who engaged with the world instead of just kicking down doors and swinging swords.
It transforms the final confrontation from a simple brawl into a puzzle to be solved. It tells the players that observation and memory are their sharpest weapons.
Right after that brain teaser, we get a wonderfully weird, quirky moment in the bathing room.
I love this part.
It's painted with peaceful scenes of spring and summer with an ornate marble and silver bathtub. On a tray next to the tub are 3 small gems, 1 red, 1 blue, 1 yellow.
Magical plumbing.
Exactly. If you put the red stone in, the tub fills with hot water. The yellow stone fills it with cold water. Put them both in, and you get warm water.
But if you put the blue stone in a full tub, the water instantly disappears.
It's so fun. But why include this right before the end?
Tasting. Game design, especially in horror or high-stakes fantasy, requires these peaks and valleys of tension. You give the players a moment to play with some magical plumbing to say, oh, that's clever, before you plunge them back into absolute terror.
It provides necessary psychological relief so they don't become numb to the danger.
Precisely.
And trust me, you need that relief because we are skipping past the empty bedroom to encounter 74, the guard room.
Yeah, this is a rough one.
Standing by the fireplace is a man dressed in a palace guard uniform. He has more than a dozen stab wounds on his body, wounds that would normally kill anyone. He's a corpse, but he is possessed by an undead spirit known as a wight. Tell us why veteran players break out in a cold sweat when they hear that word.
The wight induces a very specific kind of dread. First, it can only be harmed by silvered or heavily enchanted weapons, meaning standard steel just bounces off it.
Which is bad enough.
But that's not what makes it terrifying. If the wight strikes you, it doesn't just bruise your flesh or break your bones. It drains your very life energy.
It literally erases your experience. Specifically, one full level of experience and hit dice.
It does. A successful hit strips away a portion of the knowledge, skills, and hardiness your character has gained throughout the entire campaign.
The abilities you earned are just gone.
Gone. And if you are totally drained of life energy, you die and reawaken in 1 to 4 days as a wight yourself, cursed to serve the creature that kills you.
That is brutal.
It brings up a fascinating element of player psychology. This mechanic is terrifying because it attacks the player's real-world time investment.
Yeah, you spend weeks, maybe months building up this character, and a single bad encounter against this undead monster erases that hard-earned progress.
It's a punishing way to force players to think tactically. Sometimes the right answer in a dungeon is to recognize you are outmatched and simply run away.
You have to respect the dungeon's lethality.
Absolutely.
Now, if you manage to survive or bypass the wight, you stumble into the ale room, encounter 75. And this room is fascinating because of what isn't there. It's just a room with a tapped cask of ale and dozens of glasses. It is completely empty of monsters.
The tension of empty space is a powerful tool. When you've been conditioned to expect a trap or an ambush behind every door, an empty room right before the final boss chamber is agonizing.
It's the calm before the storm.
And it forces the players to sit with their own anticipation.
Which brings us to the climax in the throne room, encounter 76. You push open those heavy double doors, and the scene is breathtaking. An ornate throne made of silver and oak sits on a raised dais. The walls are covered in tapestries showing the changing seasons of the Kingdom of Haven. But the room is filled with statues. Men, women, dwarves, it's the entire royal court, petrified, frozen in stone mid-conversation.
A haunting visual reminder of what exactly is at stake. The failure of the kingdom captured in a single snapshot.
Right in the middle of the throne rests the source of all this misery, the Eye of Uruk. It's that apple-sized ruby glowing with an inner pulsing red light.
And if you look closely into the gem,
You can actually see tiny figures trapped inside. It's Princess Argenta and the Knight Ellis the Strong, magically shrunken and imprisoned.
so the objective is literally sitting right there on the throne.
But obviously you don't just walk up and grab it. The moment the first character steps up and touches the ruby, a psychological trap is sprung.
Here we go.
Red vapors billow up from the gem, blinding the party. When the smoke clears, standing between you and the throne are heavily armored fighters in glowing red plate mail wielding red swords and shields. And the number of these guards is exactly equal to the number of people in your party.
A mirror match. The quintessential final boss setup. It forces the party to face an equal and opposite force.
But here's the massive twist. These glowing red guards attack with the ferocity and skill of seasoned veterans, and they land devastating blows. But they are illusions.
As 3 hit dice monsters doing 1 to 10 damage.
Right, but the damage you are taking is entirely imaginary. No attacks from your party will ever hit or harm them because there is nothing there to hit.
So how do you defeat something that doesn't exist?
As soon as a player touches one of these guards with a bare hand, not a weapon, but actual unprotected physical contact, the illusion vanishes instantly. And the moment it vanishes, all the players who were bleeding out or even thought they were killed by these guards suddenly realize they are perfectly fine. Not a scratch on them. The damage was entirely in their heads.
This raises an important question, doesn't it? This is, without a doubt, one of the most brilliant pieces of psychological design in the module. It preys on the player's real-world anxiety.
Okay.
You've fought through Decavis's evil clerics, werewolves, and life-draining undead. You are battered.
Yeah.
You are expecting a massive, brutal boss fight at the end.
And the game designers weaponize your own expectations against you.
Your own panic makes the illusion effective. Because you expect to be hurt, your mind fabricates the pain. If you just stopped swinging your sword in terror and reached out, the threat would simply evaporate.
It's mind-blowing. Once you realize the guards are fake and the room is clear, your mission is to destroy the ruby. And thanks to the teacups riddle from earlier, you know the 3 ways to do it.
Right.
You can play the 3 notes on the magical ice harp to shatter it. You can bring the 2 silver dragon statuettes into the room, which frees an ancient dragon named Eric's-bane from a pocket dimension whose frost breath disintegrates the ruby.
Oh.
Or you can take the ruby sword of Eric you got from the evil cleric and strike the eye with it, causing both artifacts to crumble to dust.
And the narrative payoff for executing one of these solutions is incredibly satisfying. Destroying the Eye of Eric acts as a universal reset button for the kingdom.
Reversing everything.
The disaster immediately begins to reverse. The sick cattle recover. The withered crops turn green again. The hordes of monsters ravaging the countryside lose their magical backing and flee in terror.
The people turn to stone in the throne room, return to flesh and blood. Princess Argenta and Ellis the Strong are freed from the gem and return to normal size. Even the lycanthropy curse you might have caught from the werewolf earlier is automatically cured.
It is a perfectly wrapped, heroic conclusion. You don't just win a fight, you tangibly heal the world.
It really is a masterclass journey. Think about what these 13 encounters take us through. We start with environmental ambushes that force you to look at the ceiling. We move into escalating tactical crowd control combats with lasting consequences. We get lore-dropping riddles that reward exploration, whimsical magical bathtubs to pace the tension, terrifying undead that threaten your hard-earned progress, and finally, an incredibly devious psychological illusion that tests your very grip on reality. It's a reminder that the best climaxes challenge the mind and the emotions, not just the dice.
It is a remarkable piece of design. And it actually leaves us with a rather profound mystery to consider.
Oh.
Consider the illusion guards in the throne room. If a player was killed by imaginary damage, they believe they were dead.
Right.
In game design or even in our daily lives, how often is the damage we take completely constructed by our own expectations and panic?
Oh, wow.
How many of our biggest obstacles would disappear if we just stopped swinging in the dark, reached out, and touched them with our bare hands?
That is definitely something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We hope you survived the Palace of the Silver Princess, and we'll catch you next time.